I was sitting on a park bench in old jeans and a faded jacket, eating a gas station sandwich, when a woman walked up to me and told me I was not fit to own a dog. She had a clipboard. She had a badge. She had 2 colleagues standing behind her like backup. And she had absolutely no idea who she was talking to. Today I'm going to tell you what happened when an animal welfare organization decided to judge a man by his clothes, and learned, the very hard way, that appearances mean nothing. I built everything I have from zero. I came from nothing. And I will never, not for a single day of my life, be ashamed of that. I'm Marcus. And this is my story. Let me set the scene properly, because context matters here and I want to be completely fair to everyone involved, even the people who handled this badly. My name is Marcus. I'm 41. I live in a mid-sized city in the Pacific Northwest. I own a logistics and warehousing company that I built from the ground up starting when I was 23 years old with $1,400 in savings, a used cargo van, and a willingness to outwork every single person in the room. Today the company employs 63 people and generates around $8 million in annual revenue. My personal net worth, the last time my accountant did the math, sat at approximately $4.7 million, factoring in real estate, investments, and business equity. I say none of this to brag. I say it because it is the single most relevant fact in this entire story, and the people I am about to tell you about did not know it, and more importantly, did not care to find out. My dog's name is Bucket. He is a 7-year-old mixed breed, part Labrador, part something the vet has always described as enthusiastically unclear. He weighs 67 pounds. He has one ear that stands up and one that flops down. He is the greatest living creature on this planet and I would sooner sell my company than give him up. I got Bucket when he was 8 weeks old, during the hardest period of my adult life. I'll get to that. The short version is, Bucket has been with me since before any of the money existed, and our bond is something I genuinely do not have the words to fully describe. Now, let me tell you about a Tuesday afternoon in October that I will remember for the rest of my life. I have a habit that I've kept for years and have no intention of breaking. Every Tuesday afternoon, weather permitting, I take Bucket to Riverside Park, a large public park about 6 blocks from my office. I sit on the same bench near the East Pond. I bring a cheap gas station sandwich, turkey and Swiss, always, and I eat it while Bucket sniffs around the grass and occasionally tries to make friends with strangers' children. Then we walk the full perimeter of the park, which takes about 40 minutes, and we head back to the office. This is my reset. This is my weekly reminder that the world is bigger than spreadsheets and contracts and employee reviews. It costs me nothing. It keeps me sane. I dress for comfort on Tuesdays. Old jeans, not ripped, just worn. A faded olive green jacket I've had since 2011. Beat up New Balance sneakers. No watch. No phone case, just the phone itself tucked in my pocket. I don't carry a wallet on these walks, just a folded $20 bill. I look, by most conventional standards, like someone who has seen better days financially. I'm aware of this. I've been told this before by people who know me and think it's funny. My CFO once joked that I looked like I was LARPing as a homeless man on Tuesdays. I laughed. I kept wearing the jacket. I grew up genuinely poor. Not romanticized movie poor. Actually poor, government cheese poor, 3 kids sharing a bedroom poor, mom crying at the kitchen table over bills poor. I built everything I have from nothing and I am not willing to let money change who I am at my core. Wearing expensive clothes to a park bench to eat a gas station sandwich would feel dishonest to me. It would feel like I was performing wealth for an audience that doesn't exist. That Tuesday, the audience showed up uninvited. I was about halfway through my sandwich. Bucket was lying at my feet, head on his paws, completely relaxed. It was a cool afternoon, maybe 58 degrees. The park was moderately busy, dog walkers, joggers, a few families. A woman approached the bench. Mid-40s, professionally dressed, carrying a clipboard and wearing a lanyard with a badge from an organization called Animal Forward Animal Welfare Alliance, a local non-profit I'd vaguely heard of but knew nothing about. Two other people stood maybe 15 feet behind her, also wearing Animal Forward lanyards. She smiled, but it was the kind of smile that is doing a job rather than expressing warmth. "Hi there," she said. "I'm Sandra. I'm with Animal Forward. We're doing routine welfare checks in the park today. Mind if I ask you a few questions about your dog?" I said sure, go ahead. Bucket lifted his head, assessed Sandra, decided she was uninteresting, and put his head back down. Sandra looked at her clipboard. "Can you tell me the dog's name and age?" I told her. "Bucket, 7 years old. Is he up to date on vaccinations?" "Yes. Completely. Annual vet visits, every shot on schedule, dental cleaning done 6 months ago." "What does his diet look like?" "Premium dry kibble from the vet, the specific brand recommended for his age and size, plus a joint supplement because he'd had minor hip stiffness last winter." Sandra wrote things down. Then she looked up from her clipboard and looked at me, and I saw something shift in her expression. Not subtle. Noticeable. "And what is your current living situation?" I told her I owned a home. 3 bedrooms, fenced backyard, Bucket had a dog door and used it constantly. She wrote more things down. Then, "Do you have documentation of ownership? Vet records? Anything that establishes you as his registered owner?" I said I didn't carry vet records on Tuesday afternoon park walks, no. Another note on the clipboard. "Then, I want to be transparent with you. We've received a report from another park visitor who expressed concern about this dog's welfare. Given the circumstances," and here she made a brief, deliberate visual sweep of my clothing, my sandwich, my general appearance, "we have an obligation to follow up on those concerns." I put my sandwich down. "What circumstances?" I said. She held eye contact in the way people do when they're trying to appear calm while delivering something they know is not fair. "We just want to make sure animals are placed in stable, appropriate environments." There it was. She was looking at my jacket. She was looking at my worn jeans. She was looking at a gas station sandwich wrapper on a park bench and drawing a conclusion about my fitness as a dog owner, and she had the institutional weight of an organization behind her to act on that conclusion. "Are you telling me," I said slowly, "that someone reported my dog as being in danger because of how I look?" "We take all reports seriously," she said. "It's nothing personal." "It is personal," I said. "You just told me my living situation is a relevant variable after looking at my clothes. That's a personal judgment." She shifted slightly. "Mr. Marcus. Marcus. We're not making any accusations. We just need to verify." "Verify what?" "That I can feed my dog. That I have a house. That he has a vet." I gestured at Bucket, who was clean, well-groomed, at a healthy weight, lying calmly at my feet with the relaxed posture of a dog that had never once been stressed in its life. "Look at him. Does this look like a neglected animal to you?" She looked at Bucket. To her credit, I could see a flicker of uncertainty cross her face. He did not look neglected. He looked like a dog who got a birthday cake last March and had a memory foam bed bigger than most studio apartments. "I understand your frustration," she said. "But we do have the authority to initiate a temporary custody hold if we have reasonable concern for an animal's welfare, pending verification." "You're threatening to take my dog," I said flatly. "It's not a threat. It's a process. Based on what I'm wearing." She opened her mouth. Closed it. Then, based on an unverified report and an inability to provide documentation of ownership at this time. I looked at her for a long moment. Then I picked up my phone. I want to be clear about what happened next, because I've told this story to a few people and some of them think I was showing off. I was not showing off. I was protecting my dog using the tools available to me, and those tools happened to include resources that most people in my position, meaning wearing a faded jacket on a park bench, would not have. I called my lawyer. His name is Daniel. He picked up on the second ring because I pay him a retainer that makes answering on the second ring reasonable. I explained the situation in about 45 seconds. Daniel said, "Put her on." I handed Sandra the phone. I watched her face change. I don't know exactly what Daniel said to her in those 4 minutes. I know it involved the words, civil liability, documented discrimination based on apparent socioeconomic status, and at one point something that made Sandra's 2 colleagues take a visible step backward. I also know Daniel is very good at his job and has a voice that carries the specific authority of someone who has won more cases than he's lost. Sandra handed the phone back to me. Her clipboard was now held at her side. "Daniel says hello," I said. She stopped. I think there may have been a miscommunication about the nature of this interaction. "There wasn't," I said. "You were very clear. We were following protocol based on a community report." "Who reported me?" I said. "Which park visitor looked at a man eating a sandwich with his calm, healthy, well-groomed dog and decided to call an animal welfare organization?" She didn't answer that. "I'd like that information," I said. "For my records." "I'm not sure I'm able to." "Daniel is still on the line," I said, holding up the phone. She gave me the name. "I won't share that name here. What I'll say is that it was a woman I had actually made brief eye contact with earlier in the afternoon, someone who had walked past the bench with her own dog, a small poodle mix, and who had looked at me with the particular expression that certain people wear when they see someone they've categorized as beneath them in a space they've decided belongs to them. She had looked at my jacket. She had looked at Bucket, big, mixed breed, floppy-eared Bucket, and she had made a call. And Sandra from Animal Forward had shown up with a clipboard and a willingness to remove a dog from his owner based on a report that amounted to, "That man looks poor." Here is what happened in the following 2 weeks. Daniel sent a formal letter to Animal Forward documenting the incident, the nature of Sandra's inquiry, and the organization's implicit policy of initiating welfare checks based on the perceived economic status of owners, a policy that, if applied consistently, would constitute discriminatory enforcement and open the organization to significant civil liability. The letter also included, at Daniel's suggestion and with my approval, a brief summary of my public business filings, not my personal net worth, but the company's registered address, employee count, and operational status. Enough to make clear that the man Sandra had assessed as unfit to own a dog employed 63 people and had been in continuous business operation for 18 years. 3 days later, Animal Forward's executive director called me personally. Her name was Carol. She was mortified. She was also, I think, genuinely apologetic rather than just legally scared, which I appreciated. She told me Sandra had been with the organization for 2 years, that this was not their policy or their values, and that the incident was being reviewed internally. She asked if there was anything the organization could do to make it right. I told her there were 2 things. 1, I wanted Sandra to complete additional training on bias and equitable enforcement, specifically around assumptions tied to socioeconomic appearance. I did not want Sandra fired. I wanted her better. Carol agreed immediately. 2, I wanted to make a donation to the organization. A real one. Carol went quiet for a second. "I'm sorry. Animal Forward does real work," I said. "I looked you up. Your low-income pet owner assistance program is genuinely underfunded and genuinely needed. I want to donate $50,000 to that program specifically." The silence on the other end of the line lasted long enough that I checked to make sure the call hadn't dropped. "Mr. Marcus," Carol finally said, "I don't. I want to make sure I understand. After what happened?" "After what happened," I said, "I am more aware than I was before that there are pet owners in this city who look like me on a bad day and don't have a lawyer to call. I'd like to make sure they don't lose their animals because of it." "That is," Carol said carefully, one of the most unexpected things anyone has ever said to me. I want to talk about Bucket for a moment, because this whole thing started with him and I think he deserves more than a footnote. I got Bucket in the spring of 2018. The company had just come through the worst year of its existence, a major client had walked, I'd had to let go of 11 employees, and I was genuinely uncertain for about 4 months whether the whole thing was going to survive. I was working 80-hour weeks. I was eating badly and sleeping less. I had pushed away most of my personal relationships because I had nothing left to give them after work took everything. My mother, who had watched me build this from nothing and worried about me constantly, showed up at my apartment one Saturday morning with a cardboard box. Inside the box was an 8-week-old puppy she'd found through a rescue organization. She set the box down on my kitchen floor, looked me in the eyes, and said, "You need something that loves you back without conditions." She was right. I named him Bucket because the first thing he did when I put him down was climb into the mop bucket I had sitting in the corner of the kitchen. He was too small to get out on his own. He just stood in there, tail wagging, like he'd found exactly where he was supposed to be. That was 7 years ago. The company recovered. Then it grew. Then it grew more. I bought the house. I built the life. And through every version of it, the broke version, the rebuilding version, the successful version, Bucket was there. Same dog. Same floppy ear. Same complete inability to understand why any moment of any day should not be treated as an opportunity for joy. He does not know I am worth $4.7 million. He does not care. He knows I come home every night and I take him to the park on Tuesdays and I split the last bite of everything I eat with him. The idea that someone could look at us on that bench, at this man and this dog who have been through everything together, and see a welfare concern rather than a life well lived. I don't have a word for what that felt like. I have a word for what it makes me want to do, though. It makes me want to make sure it doesn't happen to someone who doesn't have a lawyer's number in their phone. The $50,000 donation went through 2 weeks after the call with Carol. Animal Forward's low-income pet owner assistance program, which provides free vet care, food assistance, and emergency boarding for owners facing financial hardship, announced a significant funding expansion the following month. They didn't name me as the donor publicly. I asked them not to. Sandra completed her training. I don't know the details. I hope it stuck. The woman who made the original report, the one with the poodle, I have never spoken to and do not plan to. I don't carry anger about her. She made an assumption, as humans do. The difference is she had a phone and an organization willing to act on that assumption without asking a single question first. As for me and Bucket, we were back at the park the following Tuesday. Same bench. Same gas station sandwich. Same faded olive jacket. A different woman stopped near the bench and asked if she could pet him. Of course, I said. She crouched down and let Bucket sniff her hand, which he approved of immediately and rewarded with full face licking. "He's so beautiful," she said. "What's his name?" "Bucket," I said. She laughed. "That's a great name." "He earned it," I said. She went on her way. Bucket watched her go, then turned back to me with his one-up one-down ear arrangement and his expression of complete, uncomplicated contentment. I finished my sandwich. This got more attention than I expected, so let me answer a few things. Yes, the donation is real and verified. No, I don't want credit for it, I only mentioned it because it's part of the story. Several people have asked why I still eat gas station sandwiches. Honestly? Because I like them. The turkey and Swiss at the station 2 blocks from my office is legitimately good and costs $4 and I have been eating it since before I had money and I see no reason to stop. What I hope is that somewhere, someone reading this is sitting in their own faded jacket with their own dog, knowing that their worth is not in what they're wearing. My mother used to say, "The man who knows what he's built doesn't need to show you the receipt." She was right about that, too. Just like she was right about the puppy. Marcus never raised his voice. He never named his net worth unprompted. He simply made one phone call, and let the truth do what the truth always does when you give it room. He could have walked away. He could have let them take bucket and fought it quietly later. Instead, he turned a humiliating afternoon into $50,000 for every low-income dog owner in his city who doesn't have a lawyer's number saved in their phone. So, jury, did Sandra and Animal Forward deserve everything that came their way for judging a man by his jacket? Or was Marcus wrong to use his wealth and legal power to flip the situation in his favor? And one more question, if you were in that park that day, which side of the bench would you have been standing on? The floor is yours. Drop your verdict in the comments below.